All right, today we are actually going to talk about how to make an assembly. And we are going to assemble all the things we've made so far. So, first thing you're going to do is do File, New, and then you are going to get this menu, and rather than doing Part like we have been doing, or Assembly like we did, or Drawing, which we actually got to from a different way when I did the intro video to that, I'm going to go to Assembly. All right. So, this, and mine is taking a minute to open this up. It might be because I have so many things running right now. But hopefully in a moment, there we go. So now I'm getting my assembly. Okay, so it shows right here my open documents. So I have my chair and my table open already. And you can see as I click on them, it kind of like imports them. So the first thing I'm going to put in is my table. Cool. This is looking pretty table-y again. I am also going to put in my chair. So I'll go up to Insert Components, and I will choose Chair. Now, if your things are not currently out and open, when you do Insert Components, you go to Browse, and it'll give you a window to select things. So I'm going to do my cup and my mug. I'm going to Control-click to select both of them, and they should both come in. Okay, so I'll put my cup kind of vaguely towards there, and then my mug also vaguely towards there. We can see that I did not do any kind of scaling when I did this. Okay, so now I have all these things here, but we can see they are not looking right. We've got a chair, everything for one is floating. Our chair is not on the same level as our table. It's floating compared to our table. My mug is floating above my table, and my glass is kind of like halfway through my table. So these are things that we can fix with something called a mate. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up a new mate. And I'm going to select some things. So for example, I want to mate the bottom circle of this mug to this surface of my tabletop. And I want it to be coincident. Do you see how now that just snaps to right on top? I'll click the check mark. I'm actually going to X out of this so that I can show you some things. So now I can kind of drag my mug, but no matter what happens, I cannot drag it off the surface of my table. It's always going, it can go off to the side, right? But it's still attached to that surface. Okay, so that's pretty good. We're going to do the same thing with our glass. So I'll do mate. And then I'm going to, again, choose the bottom surface of my glass and connect it to the top surface of my table. And we want to do coincident, which means touching, which I don't think I've actually said before, which would have been a good thing to say, because we've definitely used that before. All right, so now I've got my glass and my mug and my table looking pretty good. And then I'm going to do the bottom of this with the bottom of one of these chair legs. And I am going to, again, they should be coincident. And then I'm going to X out of my mates. Cool. So again, I can still drag this around, which is nice. And this is all kind of set up pretty well. And it actually looks like, let's see if we can, let's view our top plane. So in here, if I click top plane, then there's a little eye that's for show. So I can see that we're still not actually on that top plane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that top plane selected, and then I'm going to mate the bottom of this with that top plane. Oh, and I want to say they're coincident. Uh-oh. Might not like that. Huh. Harder than I remember to make. So parallel is definitely going to work. Perpendicular is not what we want. I do want it to be coincident, but it seems... select a mate cannot successfully be created. What would you like to do? Add this mate and break other mates to satisfy it. Add this mate and over-define the assembly. Let's see if we break. Oh, okay, I made a lot of angry things happen. Okay, cool. So, let's not even try to do that because we're causing all kinds of havoc. So I'm just going to delete that because it actually looks fine. You can see in my shadows and things, like everything looks like it's on the ground. You may not have shadows and things depending on what your settings are. My computer is decent enough that I can put those on there. Alright, so we're not even going to bother trying to connect this to the top plane. That is something that you can do if you would like, or mess around with. Now, one thing that's kind of annoying me is, do you see how my chair is not facing the correct direction? So you can do a couple of things about that. One, if you wanted to, you could, actually, let's see if we can do this. So we want this front of our chair to be parallel to our right plane. Okay, so I'm going to make a mate here, and I should be able to do this parallel. And, okay, so do you see how now, yeah, see, this works fine. I don't actually want that coincident. I want it to be parallel. So now I can still kind of move this around, or I would still be able to move it around. And what I want, this chair is facing the wrong direction, so I can change the mate alignment by hitting this button. So now my chair is facing the correct direction, and it is parallel to this plane. I could make it coincident, and I would flip that mate alignment. So actually, that looks like it's in about the right spot. That just kind of like happens to be. But yeah, like that looks pretty decent to me. So I'm actually going to leave that like that. You can put yours parallel if you want, so you can still move things around. So now, with my chair at least, I will be able to, again, I'll be able to drag it, but I cannot drag it off of that plane. Okay, so now I've got these cups. I can drag everything around. You can build additional sketches inside of here. So, for example, if I wanted to make a something here, so I wanted to put my glass and my mug on this edge of this circle. So I could take this, and I could say that I want them to be concentric, right, so that they are evenly spaced inside of each other. And then what I could do is go over here, and I can click on the edge of my mug, and I can click on this circle, and I can go back to my assemblies and mate, and I don't actually want it on the center, I want it tangent. Woo! Okay, so now that mug is going to move only on the edge of this, and you can see I can kind of pop it over the different edges, but you can use sketches inside of an assembly, but that looks kind of nasty. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here over to sketch. I'm going to go again find that hide button, the little eye when I click on it. And now I can't see it, but I am using it. So this looks pretty nice to me. So there you go. There is your assembly.